Alright, let's get real about something serious. We're talking about pyromania. Now, this isn't just some kid being mischievous with a lighter. Pyromania is a recognized mental health condition. It's an impulse control disorder, plain and simple. This means a person with pyromania feels an intense, overwhelming urge to deliberately set fires. They can't just shake it off. It's a powerful compulsion that builds up inside them, a pressure that they feel they have to release. It's not about being a bad person. It's about a disorder that needs to be understood and addressed. We need to separate the behavior from the person for a moment to see what's really going on here. So, what sets pyromania apart from other reasons people might start fires? That's a key question. Someone who commits arson for insurance money? That's not pyromania. Someone setting a fire out of anger or to cover up another crime? Again, not pyromania. Those actions are driven by different motives, like greed or revenge. Pyromania is different because the fire setting itself is the goal. It's not a means to an end. The act of setting the fire and watching it burn is what the person is drawn to. There's no external incentive like money or hiding evidence. It's all about an internal, irresistible urge. You gotta understand, this isn't a choice in the way we normally think of choices. People with pyromania experience a growing tension or an emotional arousal before they set a fire. Think of it like a pressure cooker building steam. The act of setting the fire brings a sense of relief or gratification, at least for a short while. They are often fascinated by fire and everything related to it. Fire stations, firefighting equipment, the look and smell of smoke. This fascination goes way beyond a normal interest. It becomes an obsession that takes over their thoughts and actions. This disorder is relatively rare, but its consequences can be devastating, not just for property, but for lives. It's important to remember that individuals with pyromania are not setting fires to intentionally harm others, though harm can and often does occur as a tragic result. Their focus is on the fire itself. The pull towards fire setting is so strong that they often feel powerless against it without proper help. Recognizing pyromania as a genuine mental health issue is the very first step towards helping those affected and protecting our communities from the dangers of these uncontrolled impulses. It's about getting to the root cause, not just dealing with the aftermath.
So, why do they do it? Why does someone with pyromania feel this powerful need to start fires? It's not for kicks in the way a delinquent might seek thrills. It's tied to a very specific psychological pattern. Before setting a fire, individuals with pyromania often experience an intense buildup of tension or affective arousal. This isn't just a little bit of stress, it's a significant emotional pressure that feels unbearable. They might feel restless, anxious, or agitated. This internal discomfort grows and grows until the urge to set a fire becomes overwhelming, almost like an itch they desperately need to scratch. The act of setting the fire provides a release from this built-up tension. When they light the fire, or as they watch it burn, they often report feelings of pleasure, gratification, or intense relief. It's a powerful emotional release, even if it's short-lived. This cycle of tension and release is a hallmark of impulse control disorders. They aren't thinking about the long-term consequences in that moment. They are driven by the immediate need to alleviate that internal pressure. It's a powerful, compelling cycle that's hard to break on their own. They become fixated on fire and all its associated activities. It's crucial to understand that people with pyromania are not typically motivated by anger, revenge, or political protest. They're not trying to make a statement or hurt a specific person, though. Tragically, people can get hurt. They also don't set fires for financial gain, like trying to collect insurance money. Those are characteristics of arson, which is a criminal act with different underlying motives. With pyromania, the reward is purely psychological and directly linked to the act of fire setting itself. The fire itself is the focus, the source of the intense interest, and the temporary relief from their inner turmoil. This fascination with fire often starts early in life. They might be drawn to anything related to fire alarms, fire stations, firefighters, and the act of burning itself. They might spend a lot of time thinking about fire, watching fires, or even setting small, apparently harmless fires that can escalate. This isn't just a passing curiosity, it's a deep-seated preoccupation. Understanding this internal drive is key. It's not about malice. It's about a complex interplay of impulse, fascination, and an inability to resist a very specific destructive urge that takes over their better judgment. The impact of pyromania on individuals and their families is frankly devastating. You're not just talking about burned buildings, you're talking about burned lives. For the person with pyromania, there's the constant internal battle with these urges. There's often a lot of shame, guilt, and fear of being discovered. They know, on some level, that what they're doing is wrong and dangerous, but the compulsion can be too strong to resist on their own. This can lead to isolation, depression, and a whole host of other mental health struggles. And then, there are the very real legal consequences: arrest, jail time, and a criminal record that follows them forever. For families, living with someone who has pyromania is like living on edge all the time. There's the constant worry about when the next fire might be set. There's the fear for their safety, the safety of others, and the safety of their home. The financial burden can be enormous too. From property damage to legal fees and therapy costs, families often feel a mix of emotions: anger, frustration, helplessness, and even shame. They might try to hide the problem, which only makes it worse. It puts an incredible strain on relationships, and sometimes families can be torn apart by the stress and the secrets. Let's consider a hypothetical case, John. John started showing an unusual fascination with fire as a child. He'd light small bonfires, stare at candles for hours. As a teenager, the urges grew stronger. He started setting fires in abandoned lots, then closer to occupied areas. Each time, he felt that surge of tension beforehand, then a rush of relief. He knew it was wrong, felt terrible afterward, but the cycle continued. His family was baffled and scared. Eventually, he was caught. The legal fallout was immense, but it also forced him and his family to confront the pyromania head-on and seek real help rather than just punishment. The destruction caused by pyromania goes far beyond the physical damage of the flames. It sears itself into the lives of everyone involved. The individual struggles with an internal torment, often misunderstood by those around them. They might be labeled as simply bad or evil, when in reality, they are battling a serious mental health condition. Families grapple with fear, confusion, and the societal stigma attached to such behavior. The path is difficult, and the emotional scars can last a lifetime if not addressed with compassion and professional intervention. It's a community issue, a family issue, and a personal one, all rolled into one. Now, just because pyromania is a serious problem doesn't mean there's no hope. There absolutely is. But it starts with acknowledging the problem for what it is: a mental health disorder that requires professional treatment. You can't just wish it away or tell someone to stop it. The first step is getting a proper diagnosis from a mental health professional. This is critical because pyromania can sometimes co-occur with other conditions, like mood disorders or other impulse control issues, and those need to be addressed too. Early intervention is always best, especially if these tendencies are noticed in childhood or adolescence. Treatment for pyromania often involves a combination of approaches. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is a common and effective method. CBT helps individuals identify the thought patterns and triggers that lead to fire-setting urges. It teaches them coping mechanisms and healthier ways to deal with tension and stress. Impulse control techniques are also taught, helping them to recognize the urge building up and find strategies to resist it or redirect it. In some cases, medication might be considered, particularly if there are coexisting conditions like depression or anxiety that are contributing to the problem. It's about giving them the tools they need. Coping strategies are vital for both the individual and their family. For the person with pyromania, this means actively participating in therapy, practicing the techniques they learn, and being honest about their struggles. Developing healthy outlets for stress and emotion is also key, things like exercise, hobbies, or mindfulness. For families, education is paramount. Understanding pyromania helps reduce blame and foster a more supportive environment. Family therapy can be incredibly beneficial, teaching communication skills and ways to support their loved one's recovery journey without enabling the behavior. Setting clear boundaries is also important for everyone's safety and well-being. So, let's end on a hopeful note. Recovery from pyromania is possible. It takes commitment, professional help, and a strong support system, but people can learn to manage these destructive urges and lead safe, productive lives. The key is to stop the silence and shame that often surrounds this condition. If you or someone you know is struggling with an uncontrollable urge to set fires, please reach out for help. There are resources available. There are people who understand. You don't have to face this alone. Getting help is a sign of strength, not weakness. It's about taking control back and building a safer future.